Hey third graders, welcome to Mrs. Colgren's third grade reading circle. So today I am really excited because we're going to be reading a story that has been loved by millions, read by millions, and so many people of so many different ages love and adore this book, and I can't blame them because I love it myself too. So can anyone guess what book we are going to be reading today? All right, let's do a drum roll. The book we are going to be reading today is Charlotte's Web. So Charlotte's Web is written by E.B. White and illustrated by Garth Williams. So the reason why this book is so loved is because it entails different types of friendships and relationships, the adventures they go on, the life lessons they learn. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it takes you on roller coasters of emotions. So that is why this book is so beloved. So before we start reading this book, let's just look at this cover page and make some predictions about what we think this book is about. Alright, so I see on the cover page there is this young little girl that is holding a pig. It looks like a sheep or a lamb right next to the pig right here. And also there's a duck over here. So can anyone make some predictions about what this book will be about? Yeah, so maybe it has to do with something about this young girl maybe taking care of animals or loving animals. It kind of looks like she's at a zoo or maybe at a farm or something. And then something else to note is that if we look at the title, Charlotte's Web, right here, if we look really close, we can kind of see a spider creeping down over here. And we notice that all the title, Charlotte's Web, is covered in spider webs. That's something to think about. So let's get started. I know we don't have too much time today, so I'm going to start reading the beginning of this story. Okay, let's get started. Chapter 1, Before Breakfast. "Where's Papa going with that axe?" said Fern to her mother as they were setting the table for breakfast. "Out to the hog house," replied Mrs. Arble. "Some pigs were born last night." "I don't see why he needs an axe," continued Fern, who was only 8. "Well," said her mother, "one of the pigs is a runt. It's very small and weak, and it will never amount to anything. So your father has decided to do away with it." "Do away with it?" shrieked Fern. "You mean kill it? Just because it's smaller than the others?" Mrs. Arble put a pitcher of cream on the table. "Don't yell, Fern," she said. "Your father is right. The pig would probably die anyway." Fern pushed a chair out of the way and ran outdoors. The grass was wet and the earth smelled of springtime. Fern's sneakers were soppy by the time she caught up with her father. Ooh, so here we have an illustration. So that's her father right there. It looks like he has an axe in his hand, and I'm guessing that is Fern. So, judging by the book so far, where do you think Fern lives? Not necessarily the state, but what do you think her parents do for a living? Right, they could be farmers. So let's read on and find out. "Please don't kill it," she sobbed. "It's unfair." Mr. Arble stopped walking. "Fern," he said gently, "you will have to learn to control yourself." "Control myself," yelled Fern. "This is a matter of life and death, and you talk about controlling myself?" Tears ran down her cheeks, and she took hold of the axe and tried to put it out of her father's hand. Just showing, this picture is representing that sentence right there. "Fern," said Mr. Arble, "I know more about raising a litter of pigs than you do. A weakling makes trouble. Now run along." "But it's unfair," cried Fern. "The pig couldn't help being born small, could it? If I had been born very small at birth, would you have killed me? Mr. Arble smiled. Certainly not, he said, looking at his daughter with love. But this is different. A little girl is one thing. A little runted pig is another. I see no difference, replied Fern, still hanging on to the axe. This is the most terrible case of injustice I have ever heard of. A queer look came over John Arble's face. He seemed almost ready to cry himself. We're going to stop right there. Okay, so what do you guys think is going to happen? So there's this pig that this father wants to kill, but the little girl Fern doesn't want to kill. My questions in my head are, where does she live? What do her parents do? And is the pig going to be killed? So we will have to read on and see exactly what happens in the story.